Hey everybody, it's Jane Johnston with the BriarHillGroup at REMAX Kamloops here in Victoria, BC. I am here with members of our community from REMAX all across Canada. Today we have a big West Coast representation, including Stephen Lau from Edmonton, Laura June from the Fraser Valley, Jeff Parlee from Vancouver, Ken McClelland from Kamloops, and Lois Grant is going to be joining us from Nanaimo, Parksville. So welcome everybody. How you doing?
Happy New Year.
Good, thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Okay, so it's been a while since we've had a discussion about what's going on in real estate across the country. Why don't we start with Stephen? Stephen, how's it going there? How'd you end the year?
I was surprisingly busy. I think all the realtors in Canada are probably pleasantly surprised that we still have careers, that the sky didn't fall. I think we all had those thoughts back in March, April when we all got locked down. But surprisingly, I was actually busier, probably by 20, 25% busier this year in the COVID year, this past year, than 2019. I think a lot of people in the market this year have not put their houses on the market this past year. A lot of people perhaps were afraid of people coming into their homes, and the inventory levels have been lower in our city, and I think that was a pattern across the country, but sales were up. So any decline in prices was, I think, counteracted by the lower overall inventory. Our home sales volume was actually up 26% from a year ago, from December 2019 to December 2020. Our sales volume went up 26.44%. That's the volume. Our average single home price went up about 4%. And the prices now for single family homes is $431, extremely affordable compared to my colleagues in the other parts of the West Coast. And the average condominium is only $215,000. So I think our economy is still very weak. We're still transitioning probably over the next decade, frankly, with the oil industry being where it is. But we do have some long-term prospects with our economy changing focus to greener technology, high tech, et cetera, but that's going to take a lot of time. And I think we pray to all the gods out there that our society will remain intact and we're not all up to here in debt as a country, and people can still afford to conduct their lives and afford to buy homes. So that's my report. Edmonton is stable. Inventory right now is low and prices are up from the year before, but sales volume is up dramatically compared to a year ago, 26%.
Okay, what about you, Laura?
You know, I concur with Stephen. Even he's in Edmonton, and we're definitely wowed by your condo prices, but yeah, we have the same story here. You know, obviously our sales volume is way up, but compared to you, a condo in Surrey is 510,000 as opposed to yours. So, you know, there's a big variance in price there.
Yeah.
Here, the story is no inventory, where typically, and I've said this before in our meetings, you know, we see 25% sales ratio kind of moves the market into that seller's market in the Fraser Valley. In a lot of pockets, we're seeing 65% sales ratio now. It's unheard of. And, you know, I can talk to people who've been in the business 30 years and everyone agrees this is unprecedented and it's very unusual. I know up the street from me yesterday, they had offers about a block and a half away. They had 43 offers on their house. There's just no words. Prices have gone up. You know, in Surrey, they've gone up 14%, 9% for detached, 14% for attached. But it's all about the inventory and the sales ratio. There is no inventory. And as soon as something hits the market, you have that frenzy right now. The buyers are out there. I know we're supposed to be in a pandemic and there's supposed to be all these issues, but I think that's also feeding why the buyers are out there. There's way more buyers than there is places to sell them, so.
Okay, hi everyone. Jeff Parlee from REMAX Real Estate Services here in Vancouver, representing the Lower Mainland. And I got to say, Stephen, Laura, it sounds like you guys are pretty much the same as us here in Vancouver. I think, Laura, you're probably seeing a little bit more activity, even more in your single family homes than what we're seeing. Basically, we're seeing a ton of people moving out of the city right now, realizing that, hey, you know, I only have to go to the office twice a week nowadays. So, geez, if I commute, why don't I go buy that house in the Fraser Valley and sell my condo here in Vancouver for the same price? When we're talking about sales prices, wow, again, just blown away with what's happening here. I can tell you September, October, November, and December, every one of those months in the greater Vancouver area has been the highest volume of sales that we've ever seen. And we're talking about 71.3% increase in sales volume. Although we still are sort of light on inventory, especially single family homes. Condo market is a little bit slow, but I got to say, over the Christmas holidays, I actually seen it really pick up. I really wanted to take a break during Christmas, and it was just like, wow, bang. You know, it was just like, I got 2 days with my family, and I'm on the road the next day. So when we look at the total sales volume, Vancouver for 2020, and remember, this is when March, April, May was pretty much stagnant, nothing going on whatsoever. We still had a 22.1% increase over 2019. And then if you want to take it back even further, 2018, it was 24,000 sales. So we were still 25% above those sales in 2018. I think we're all singing the same song here. Now our single family homes itself, it went up 10% in value. So not so much as what I'm seeing from other areas. Condo prices only went up 2.6. So again, it's showing that, you know, people are really trying to get into the single family home market if possible. Give me a little chunk of land in the back. Give me something where I can have an office, because I'm scared if I'm going to get locked down with my family in an 800 square foot, nothing, no balcony in downtown Vancouver. So really, I guess that's the best I can report for Vancouver, unless anyone has any other questions, any other stats that you're looking for.
We'll come back to you in a sec. We'll just get an overview of what's going on right now.
Sure.
Okay, Ken.
Same kind of story in Kamloops. Market's very busy. Inventory is way down. I was just looking at some numbers this morning here. So last year, at the end of December of 19, we had 1,300 and some listings, a little over 1,300. This year was 950, and so that's down, you know, like 25% kind of a thing. Number of sales this year was up about 5%, but the median residential price, not including condos and mobiles, just single family detached median residential, was up to 550, which was a 17% increase. Now 550 sounds pretty cheap compared to a lot of your markets, but that's reality. And so it's affordable. Jeff, you're talking about folks moving out of the city into the valley. Some of those folks in the valley are moving from the valley to Kamloops and other parts in the interior and finding that they can come up here, buy a decent house, and perhaps buy a rec property along with it. So we're seeing some of that wave coming out of the Lower Mainland. But market's strong, lots of multiple offer situations. As Laura mentioned, you know, when a new listing does hit the market, it's kind of a frenzy. It's nothing to end up with 10, 15, 20 offers on a place, you know, 10 to 15 kind of a thing. I've been beaten on a couple lately. I've won a couple, but you get beat on stuff that you think that should have been good enough, but apparently not. So, you know, kind of gives you a bit of a surprise, bit of a wake up call. And what I'm really finding right now is that you really got to bring your A game to everything. You have to sort of up your skill level and bring value to the proposition and give people good advice, but at the same time, temper their expectations with, okay, look, guys, there's 7 offers in on this place. This is a really good offer that you've written here. That's the max you're comfortable at, but don't get your heart set on it because you might not get it. So be prepared to walk away and have to look for something else. And if you can sort of set that up a little bit ahead of time, it's not so crushing if you don't get the deal.
I have that happening right now with a buyer, and they're from out of town, and I've had to say to them, the only way you're gonna get this property, because they've had 42 showings in 2 days, is to come up in price or write a letter where they're going to sell to you on an emotional level. And I can't see that happening.
No, with most people, it boils down to economics. I mean, I wrote a really good offer a few weeks ago, just before Christmas, on something, and very close on price, but the offer that took it was about $3 or $4 grand higher, and it was unconditional. And I mean, my people just weren't in that position. So you I've gotten them into something now, and they just kind of were patient, and that's fine. Maintain the relationship, but getting people all cranked on a house and then not getting it, that's not productive. So I think you have to temper their expectations ahead of time a little bit in order to partly to preserve the relationship with your buyer, in order to not disappoint them so much that they move on to another realtor too.
Well, I think we're going to be about $100,000 under the final price.
Yeah.
Okay. Lois, how's it going there? Yeah, up island.
Well, up island, we're doing really well. The average sale price right now for Parksville Qualicum is sitting at around $687,000. Nanaimo's sitting at $616,000. So Parksville's up about 12% year to date, and Nanaimo's up about 9.7% to date. Sales year to date for Parksville are up 26.5%. And Nanaimo is up 12.88%. Currently in Parksville, we have under 200 listings to share. And in Nanaimo, they're sitting around 508 right now. Little Parksville Qualicum, like, we do a lot of business here, but it is extremely challenging. We have high demand for housing. Of course, low interest rates, low inventory. So it makes it really complicated for the buyers. The buyers are very frustrated. The challenge is definitely listings. I've actually gone out and I'm starting to call some of my old sellers and see if they want to get homes on the market. And unfortunately, with our dual agency, when I have a buyer and I'm trying to match a buyer to a seller, and we know we can sometimes put these together, we have to be careful, of course. So we have to get another realtor involved, but that's how I'm managing here. Otherwise, doing great. I'm really enjoying, as crazy as COVID has been, I put my reset button on now and I have my whole life organized. I've never had a chance to do things in life that I've never done before, because we're always racing for the next sale. So I'm looking at the positives this year, and looking forward to 2021.
Awesome. So I'll just give you a recap with what's happening in Victoria. We had 8,497 properties sold in 2020. And as Jeff said, we were down in April and May. So overall, those up 17.1% over 2019. And our sales came up over $1 million. This is the first time, came in 1,000 sales over the 10-year average of 7,329. So we are up overall. Obviously, the pandemic has affected the sales and the rebounded interest rates. Year-end totals, we were at 1,279. So just to give you an example, at the end of 2019, we were at almost 2,000 listings. So we're down significantly from, we're actually at the lowest inventory in 25 years, down 29.5% since November 2020. And this record low with increased demand has led to a 70% list to sale ratio. So we are definitely in a seller's market. And that's from going like just literally 6 months, boom, right up. And our median prices are for a single family home in Victoria is $992. Oh, sorry, that's the average. The median is $901, which gives me some hope, because for financing, we really want to make sure we're under $1 million so that we have 20%. We don't need to have the 20% down. Condos went average price $485, median price $435. Again, this is only up 1.2% over last year, so that's good. Whereas houses were up significantly, 27.9%. So, and then row townhouses were up 16%. Again, what Jeff was saying, people wanting their own space with a little bit of a backyard. He actually sold a townhouse for one of my clients and did an awesome job. What did it go over, Jeff?
Yeah, so that was a busy one. Thanks again for the referral. I believe, if I don't have the numbers right in front of me, I ended up with 50 some odd showings over 6 days. and we ended up with 8 offers, and it was 256,000 over list price. So in my opinion, we were probably about $120,000 over market value. So we really won on that one.
Yeah, awesome. So what are you guys going to counsel your sellers right now?
The sellers right now, they're scared. They don't, that's what I'm experiencing here, because they're hearing the stories. They're knowing what their friends are and going through and what's happening. And I'm cautioning people, but at the same time, if people don't jump off that fence and list, this situation isn't going to get much better right now. That's the challenge.
I'm telling them to list and have a very long closing date.
Yeah.
So that we can try and find them a property.
Renting back. I even had clients going to an Airbnb for 6 weeks while they were in that transition. So they did that because they just did so well with the sale of their home that it was better than, it just was a great option. So there are other options.
That's interesting to hear, because that's exactly what we did with Jane's clients, is that I got a free rent back for 3 months to allow them to find something over Victoria. And by the way, how are they making out? I think I got a message that they got an accepted offer on something.
Yeah, so we went unconditional on a property, and ironically, so what Lois was saying about the dual agency, I actually sold this property to a lady from Vancouver last year, and we ended up getting it this year at 10% less.
Oh,
Wow.
Good to have me on your side.
They got a high five on both sides.
Nice.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So when's
Oh,
their
well.
completion?
Pardon?
When's their completion?
It's completing in February.
Okay, so we got lots of time. Perfect.
Yeah. All scheduled. Yeah. And so are you guys finding, are people moving out of the center core of the cities where you are to the burbs? Ken, are you finding that?
Yeah, I'm seeing some of that. I mean, we haven't had a real sort of a downtown concentration. It's a little bit of both, because some people, there's the sort of young family crowd that are paying premium buck for houses downtown right now because they like the school situation. They like being able to walk to coffee shops and stuff like that. But there's the people that have been living downtown for a long time that are thinking, yeah, I think I'd like a little more elbow room. And so, I mean, we're seeing even young families move to the neighborhood I'm in. I'm in a golf community 20 minutes east of Kamloops here, and we're on 1/4 acre lots and really good bang for the buck. And we're seeing quite a good growth with young families here. There's something like 35 kids living in the neighborhood now, and we hadn't had that for a long time. So there's a little bit of both, but people are moving where I am for some quality of life. Low taxes, a little bit of elbow room. And frankly, with the pandemic, there's a little bit more room to move around out here and whatnot too. The golf course stayed open all of last year and everything. And so there was some recreational opportunities that other folks might not necessarily have had living in other neighborhoods. So we're seeing that. But we're also seeing maybe just a little bit, and it might be just a gut feeling of folks that are thinking about moving to the bush because they don't know if things are going to ever get that much better. And so they're kind of a little bit, if you want to call them preppers or something like that, they're kind of getting into a little bit into that mode too. So we're seeing a little bit of that.
I heard about a movement to a K economy, so or K recovery. So those people who are in very secure jobs are doing well and they have cash, and whereas people in the service industry who are support workers are their jobs are going down. I think we're going to see a major shift and moving into a rental economy as well, where those people who have the money start renting out places. And I'm seeing that happen.
See, the Kamloops area here for a long time has kind of been a resource-based economy, and it's diversified over time. I mean, we've got a good university in the city. We've got a regional hospital. There's quite a few provincial government offices here and that sort of thing. But there's also been that resource sector as well that isn't doing as well right now. And so that has tempted, some of that has diversified into tourism. There's been a real thrust to tourism in the Kamloops area in the last 10 years. But as all of you know, the tourism economy isn't so hot right now either. And so Those folks that have secure government jobs and whatnot, they're just kind of, oh, well, no big deal. Folks that are kind of in the resource sector or in the tourism sector, service oriented sectors, they're kind of looking over their shoulder to some degree.
Yeah, what are you finding up there in Nanaimo, Parksville, Lois?
Yes, it's our market's interesting. Nanaimo is different than Parksville Qualicum. Parksville Qualicum is a lot of high-end retirees like to move into this area, as well as Nanaimo. I had one couple, and there's a group of them from Palm Springs that are wanting. They sold their place in Palm Springs. Number one, due to COVID and health reasons, and they said, "Well, what's the next best place?" They're from Alberta, from Edmonton. They're not selling their place. They have a very nice home in Sherwood Park in Edmonton, and I sold them a place for $2,950,000 here, and they didn't blink an eye on that. We have a lot of over $1 million finally selling in our area, and we're also seeing young couples with families. I was with a group on the weekend. I would probably put them in their 30s, little children, and they're looking in the 1.8 million from Victoria. I'm trying to move them in your direction, Jane. They haven't listed yet. And yeah, so it's quite interesting. We have a mix. We also have a lot of investors coming in big time. They're looking for investment properties, suites, duplexes. So anything with, if you have a suite in your home in Nanaimo, you'll get probably $100,000 more than just an ordinary home, to up to even 150. I listed a house, or I sold a house in Nanaimo 2 years ago for 624, and I have it on the market right now for 810. And I'm getting loads of showings. So we seem to be really, there seems to be a lot of interest in our area with investors, retirees, and young families moving in.
Well, you're not far from Vancouver, really, when you think about it.
Yes.
How
And
about you, Jeff?
A lot of them are coming from Vancouver and Victoria.
Are you getting more? Are you getting more rentals in happening? Like I have. So, for instance, I have a client who just bought a house with suite and 3 bedrooms up, and they're advertising $2,700 a month, and they're getting people who are interested in renting it. And I'm thinking those people could be buying a house.
Our rentals are really high here as well. They've gone up substantially. Our vacancies are low. So we need more building. We need more construction happening here, big time. What
about you, Jeff?
Interesting to hear about the rental markets. We're actually quite soft here for the rental market. We used to be like 0.05, like CMHC would always say a healthy rate is 5%. But a couple of things I think to fuel that. I think, again, people moving out of the city, trying to rent their apartment, buying that house. But one of the biggest factors was a couple of years ago when everyone was buying apartments to rent them out Airbnb. Now, of course, here in Vancouver, there was a new city bylaw that went through that it must be an owner-occupied property. So then all of a sudden, we just saw a flood of Airbnbs go onto the rental market, and it became challenging. Landlords had to start to drop their rents to be attractive to renters. I know for some of my investment properties, I had to do the same thing. Like I'm back to rates that I was charging back in 2016, just to attract people to come to my properties. So I'm seeing that as a whole in the whole market, so to speak, in this area.
Victoria has an interesting phenomenon. It has either rental or no rental in a building. So there are very few buildings where it's like, a percentage often. And if there is, it's a huge lineup. So the newer construction buildings are allowing rentals and those are getting filled. And the older buildings are often have a lot of rules and are no rentals. And what's happening is the people who had 2 accommodations, one in, let's say, Alberta, one in Victoria, weren't able to rent out their place. And so they've had to list their condos here And because, like you said, there's a glut of condos on the market and the prices haven't gone up, they have unrealistic expectations because they hear that it's a fast moving market, and it's not. Different market. What about you in Edmonton, Stephen? How's the rental market there?
Rental markets, downtown core is soft. I have a client who's really old and just wants to divest their condo, and it's perfect walking distance to all the hot spots in town. But I think people are giving a lot of discounts. I think anyone who's in a position to buy, perfect time, because interest rates are historical lows, and if the young professional couple still has a steady job, this is a perfect time to jump into suburban home at this point. So I think it's soft, and there's a lot of older condominiums now that have big special assessments, and it's not profitable for homeowners to keep it because the rentals are going down, the cost of keeping the property is going up, and quite often they're not even making any money or even breaking even. So they're trying to unload them, and the prices have been decimated. Condos downtown have dropped 25% in the last 3-4 years, so it's pretty bad.
Good opportunity though.
Absolutely. For a buyer, it's low ball.
So what are your predictions for this coming year, you guys? Who wants to start? Lois, how about you? Oh, how about Laura June? Actually, we haven't heard from Laura June.
My prediction, it's interesting. The Fraser Valley actually predicts that prices will go up 2.5% in the next year. They're actually predicting this slowdown. I predict that may happen the next month. I'm not sure about the year. I heard that and thought, wow, that was a very conservative prediction. Unless there is some drastic change, the prices are going to continue to skyrocket as long as we're hearing about 20, 25, 45 offers on a property. That is a very low prediction. It may slow down once this sort of levels out a bit, but we've got a long way to go between a 65% sales ratio, bring it down to a 25 for that to change. That's a long way to go. I think that's going to take 6 months to even put a dent into it. So that's my prediction. Carry on. Nothing's going to change right now.
Okay, Lois.
Well, my prediction here is just as it sits right now. Like again, it's a challenge to find homes for sale. Prices continue to go up. Builders are building here like crazy. We have condos. A lot of big developers are moving into our area, Nanaimo and Parksville. One developer built 300 rental condos, and they're practically all full now. So we have REIT companies coming in with groups, and our land is fairly inexpensive compared to Vancouver and Victoria. So this is why we're seeing this boom in condos. Overall, I honestly feel the island's going to be strong for the next 5 to 10 years. We have a pile of retirees moving in this direction. I'm out with retirees from across Canada all the time, mostly Vancouver and Victoria and Alberta seems to be the, I do get a few people from Ontario, and I have people from the US as well that have interest in waterfront properties, recreational. We have everything here. So my outcome here for the next many years is going to be probably a very busy market and exciting.
Awesome. Okay, Ken.
Yeah, Kamloops is looking strong. There's a lot of, I think there's still going to be a wave of people moving out of the lower mainland and whatnot, and coming from other areas to here. And so we're looking strong. I'm hoping we're not sort of nudging on bubble territory. And I don't know if any of you, other of you, have had that sort of discussion, but we've gone up pretty fast, and so I think some caution is warranted, perhaps. But yeah, it's looking really strong and positive, and we continue to grow here. And Kamloops is still kind of the best deal from a bang for the buck standpoint in anything to do with the Okanagan. Like, we're not exactly the Okanagan, but if you compare Penticton, Kelowna, and Vernon, even Salmon Arm, we offer better value here, and lots of things to do too. Great place to come with a young family.
Not that you're prejudiced at all.
No, I'm not biased in favor of Kamloops at all. No.
Okay, Jeff.
That's good. I think we're really singing all the same song here, especially Laura. I think our markets are so close together here that, when I hear the chief economist of the real estate board predicting like 2.5, 3% increase, it's like, yeah, I'll see that by the end of the month, as you say. And I do think that it's going to be quite strong moving throughout 2021 and even beyond from there. Condo market, as I say, we got to keep an eye on that one. It's going to take a little bit for that one to recover, but certainly single family homes selling where they're at will start to create some downward pressure, I think, on that condo market as well, which is going to start to rebound naturally. So I think 2021 is going to be a pretty busy year.
But you know what? If the average price goes up here in Victoria, it's going to take us over $1 million. And that's going to be a significant change. So I think there might be a change in, hopefully there's going to be a change in maybe lending rules as prices go up. So people don't have to have 20% down. So right now there's a lot of pressure to keep it low.
That brings up a really interesting point. I remember, well, that was probably about 5 years ago in East Vancouver here when we bounced over the $1 million threshold. Once you got over that threshold, then all of a sudden it was easy to get 1.1, 1.2, whatever. It was bouncing off 1 million to come back, as you say, because then you need 20% to put down. Well, folks, it's either you go further east or you adapt. And once we adapted to that, it just became the norm in the market. And that's probably what you'll see over there as well, that once you get over that threshold, don't expect to find a property under 1 million.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Steven, pardon me, Lois?
I said, it's crazy.
It is crazy.
When you look at what the average salary is out there, I remember Jim and I lived in the North Shore of Vancouver, and I had a government job. He worked for a publishing company. We bought our first house. I mean, when you look at young people today, like our daughters moved to Vancouver, maybe Jeff or Laura will be able to sell her a place some year. But however, it's almost impossible for some of these younger people to get into the market, honestly.
Well, I always say to people, you can buy your first house, but you don't have to live in it. Buy where you want to end up. Stephen.
On that note, if our economy was a little stronger, we actually had a lot of people moving from BC and Ontario for many, many years because the average job here for the same profession, you'd get paid more here. Real estate was half the price. Gas prices were much lower. So it was a great place for bang for buck, and a young couple could save lots of money here. But now with the economy being hollowed out and the oil industry pretty much in free fall, people don't have the same opportunities here. But definitely, if you have someone who's living in a big city who can do the Zoom meetings and doesn't need to live in the big city paying big prices, move to Edmonton and do your job from there, because you'll get a mansion at $1 million. You'll get a 3,600 square foot house built in the 90s with a 3-car garage. Okay, so you'll live like a king out here. So
or a queen.
Or a queen, king, queen, prince, princess, you name it. So bang for buck here, unbelievable. For $500,000, you're living better than you would in Vancouver for 1.3. Okay, so
and it'll come with a block heater for your car.
We don't live in the Arctic, buddy. There's global warming. It's actually was +3 yesterday in Edmonton, and normally it's -10. So.
So funny. Well, it was pouring rain here this morning, and now this is a picture of my home, and now it's sunny. So that's what it's like. Okay. Well, it was awesome to see you guys. Would you like to do this again in February?
Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Let's get some of the East Coast people to join us.
Okay, awesome. Let's work on it. Okay, so if you guys want more information, and by the way, you're welcome to post on our cross-country market update page. We have a Facebook page. You can post any of your monthly updates of your own up there, and we'll push them out for you. We would love to have other people join us from the East Coast. If you're with REMAX, which is the most awesome brokerage out there, we'd love to. And your seasoned agent, come on out and join us. All right, you guys, have a good year. We'll see you next month, hopefully. And if you have any exciting news, please share it with us.
Thanks, Jane.
See you, everybody.
Okay.
Everybody.
Thanks.
See ya.
Thank you all.
Okay,
Bye
Happy New
bye.
Year.
Bye.
Happy selling.
You too.